Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. Want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, we get to speak with Shanna Forrestall. She has been involved in storytelling since she was a little girl playing dress up with her siblings and friends. She's always been captivated by unique real life stories and lured by the power of fables and myths to teach life truths. She has been a working professional. She has been a working professional in the entertainment industry since 2007. She has produced 8 short films in the US that tackle social issues and several video projects in India to support a school for disabled children and Indian eunuchs. Shayna is also an award winning actress with over 100 IMDb credits and published her first children's book last year. She's also currently releasing an LP of children's bedtime stories, an LP of guided meditations, and launching an interactive art project called We Can Hear You. Let's listen and learn more about how her journey began. Shanna, thank you so much for coming out to the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
So, Shanna, tell us a little bit about yourself. Looking from your LinkedIn profile, you've done so many amazing things over the past many years, and it's almost like we are in line with what we love to do. I mean, you've been on camera talent, you've been, producing, you've been public speaker, and I have, dreams of being an actor or a producer in many different ways. And it's just love to see others that are doing the same thing. Now, the one thing I think you've been working recently on is creating some really awesome music for um what's the
For
word,
young people.
for
That's
young
right.
people, right? Yeah, so tell us a little bit.
I've been, I call myself a storyteller because I use a variety of mediums. And sometimes I'm in front of the camera or the performer, sometimes I'm the writer, sometimes I'm the producer, I'm all sides of this project of per project. I'm on all sides of it. So I just have come to call myself a storyteller because I think that's what I've been since I was a little girl. When I look back, I was always living in my imagination. I was always playing dress up. I was always doing those things. And then as I got older, that turned into, live multi-art theater. And then it turned into film and TV when I found that market. And most recently, I released a children's book last year because I've been working with kids on the spectrum. And so I released a children's book. And then now I'm doing a series of children's stories that are crafted specifically to help children relax, to deal with anxiety, to soothe them, to calm them, and to put them to sleep at night. And so that's why I reached out to you originally, is because, there's so much going on in our world right now. I have such a heart for parents, especially parents that are dealing right now with this current crisis, and especially parents with kids on the spectrum. And we have this gift, this asset that we want to give to people to help them to soothe their children, to help them to rest, whether it's nap time during the day or at bedtime at night.
Absolutely. And it's a tough business to be in, to be a parent in this time with COVID-19, especially if you're working from home and
Right.
you've got somebody who's under 2 years old, under 5 years old. It's really hard to keep them engaged and keep your mind and be able to also perform the duties that you're asked to do on a daily basis. So tell us a little bit about, how did you get into the children's books, and what inspired you to get to that? I mean, you did tell us that, in this time
Yeah.
and age, we are, is it's a crazy time, but you said you launched this book last year.
So last year I was working with a group of boys who are all on the autism spectrum, and I had this idea for a children's book. So I am not an artist by any means. So I reached out to the young woman that I was working with at the school over there, and I said, "Hey, do you have any young people who can illustrate? Because it's not something I do. I had this idea for this book, and I'd love to hire one of the kids. And she's like, yes, actually, we have this kid who's been doing animation. He's fantastic. And so I met with him. His name is Matthew DeGaya. And together we worked on this children's book called Why the Girl Became the Cat. And that was the first story. It was the first story I wrote. And it was the first story I hired a young man to illustrate. And we've actually put that book out. It's available for sale now on Amazon. And
Nice.
all the proceeds, and all the proceeds from that go back to help us hire more young people on the spectrum to do more work on kid stories. So that book got out there. And then we also did a digital book, and we ended up hiring 4 or 5 boys to work on the digital book. We had two editors, we had a shooter, because we did a behind the scenes story on it to focus on the kids and their contribution.
Yeah.
All of that is on our site at whythegirl.com. But we ended up hiring multiple kids. So then I got a call this year after the book had come out from a friend who's a very experienced instrumentalist. He writes original music. He's got followings all over the world, different countries, because his music is instrumental. And he said, Shanna, I want to add to my repertoire on my YouTube channel and on my outlets to have music that has bedtime stories for kids. It's something I'm getting requests for. I was like, oh, and he's like, do you want to write more stories? And I was like, of course I want to write more stories. They make me so happy. So I wrote more stories, and we went into the studio and we started recording. We put 5 new bedtime stories together and started prepping them for a summer release of an LP. And so in the meantime, of course, COVID happens. And we looked at each other and were like, oh my gosh, parents are going batty right now. What can we do to help them? So we were like, let's get this LP out sooner than we planned. Let's start releasing one every other week as fast as we can. So these parents have the asset so that when they go to put their child down to rest for nap time or nighttime, that they have these stories and these songs to listen to. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been pushing them out. We've actually just got back in the studio, recorded 2 more. We're going to be rolling regular stories out, and people can listen to them for free. Most people on Spotify. They're going to be on YouTube, and they're coming out on iTunes if they want to buy it. I think it's 99 cents or whatever. So it's coming out on all the digital outlets, and we have a series of stories. The 3rd one will release this week. And we're going to be continuing to add new content. And the purpose of that is to help parents during this anxious time. While they're anxious, kids are anxious, nobody knows what's happening, there's all this weirdness going on. We wanted to give parents this asset to help their kids relax and soothe and rest. And they're also good for parents. I actually have adults who said, I'm using your Sing Yourself to Sleep to put myself to sleep at night. Lovely. I can't say I haven't done it. I've listened to it too to put myself to sleep. So we're excited. We've been rolling this out, and we hope that parents will use them because we created them especially for them and rushed them so that parents would have them right now during this time. It's a crazy time.
That's really cool. And music is a really strong motivator. And when you put it in context with a story that's helping you, like right now, my kids, they love to listen to this Audible book, The Rabbit Who Doesn't Want to Go to Sleep or something like that. So Roger Rabbit in there, right? So they've got some key words in the story. Go to sleep now, like all spread out, right?
Right now,
right. But it doesn't really work after a while. But they just like to listen to the story. Like, all right, I'll listen to the story, and there are like 2 versions in there, and then they're like, all right, now I can go to sleep, kind of thing. So this would be a nice alternative to that.
Yeah, and we've worked to make them really soothing. Like I have to say, I have a pretty soothing voice. I did I'm working on a meditation album now. And the other night I did the first one, and I tried to listen to it before I went to sleep so I could give notes to my producer. And I'm telling you, 10 minutes in, I tell the people listening, I'm like, you have my permission to doze off because I'm going to continue to speak into your subconscious and you can just rest. I literally went to sleep. That was the last thing I heard, and I was out. And so I called my producer next day. I'm like, I don't know what happened after that, but we're doing pretty good work here because I knocked myself out. I was trying to listen to it too. He goes, Shanna, I have to get up and walk around when I'm editing because I go to sleep in the booth. Like, I'm just like, So we're having so much fun. Last time we were recording, his dog went to sleep and we were laughing about this. His dog was snoring so loud. We had to wake the dog up because he was messing up the recording because of just my voice and the peaceful music.
Oh my God, that's so good.
So we were laughing. I was like, next time we're going to get a picture of this, of all of us just laid out all over the studio snoring because we put ourselves to sleep.
Oh my God, that's rich. That's
Yeah.
absolutely rich for sure.
But Jeff's music is amazing. If you're not familiar with him, it's Jeff Gold Music, and the site is My Calm World. But he's been writing music for years. His music is known to be very soothing, and I like to work to it. Some of his music, some is meant for more focus, and some
Yeah,
of it's more for relaxation, and it's lovely. He just has a gift. And also, we've seen that children on the spectrum have a really good response to his music. They love it. They love it. And it's very soothing, which can be really important for parents with kids who have high anxiety and things like
yeah,
that. And then we work, of course, with the soothing voice, the soothing music, and then every story has built-in positive messages. I am basically saying all the things that I wish had been said to me as a child. What I wish I'd learned it for. That's what you're hearing on this album. But it's about peace. It's about loving people and accepting people that are different. Every story has a different message.
yeah.
Our last one to come out was Marcy Lou was an artist, and it's about a little girl who may not really be good at art, but she
Hmm.
does all kinds of art, and that about how art is for art's sake, and it's not for performance, it's for the process of art and how art makes the world a better place. And so we
That's
have all
so
these
true.
lovely stories, and we also
Yeah,
we have children of color, we have boys, we have girls, we have animals, we have all things and kinds of creatures and people and lovely things represented in our stories, and we want the world to be safe and happy for these children, and we want to teach them, model to them how to love. Oh my goodness, what a tootie! Oh, hi,
you want to say hi?
beautiful baby. Hi.
So
Aw,
this is Danya. She's 2 years old.
Danya.
She's probably
Hi,
come. She's
precious.
probably come here to request her DJ dad to play some music
Oh, I
in the other room.
see. Well, I hope you listen to my songs. I need to send you a copy of my book.
What do you
What a
think?
tutu.
So that's really awesome. I mean, you're just running with it, and then telling stories is an awesome way to keep your mind occupied, to keep the kids' minds occupied, because
Yeah.
they're not only are they learning new stuff, but they're also keeping their own mind sharp.
Yes, and there are positive messages in there, and sometimes I don't dumb it down. Like I think that children learn language by hearing it, and also I sometimes I put in slang that I think adults will appreciate, where it's like phrases that I heard when I was a child that I think if we don't carry those on, they won't continue
Yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that. So there's some stuff in there for children and adults, and I've gotten a really good response back on it
Nice. Yeah, my
for different
daughter,
ages.
anytime she falls, she uses the words "oopsie daisy." I was like,
So
where did you
cute.
get that from?
Oh, that's so
So
cute.
we're carrying some tradition around
Right.
along as we go.
Oh,
Awesome. So we've got some awesome music. We got some. We didn't get to hear a little bit of your journey of how you got here. I mean, we talked about how you're helping um, create purpose for kids on the spectrum, having them work and create stuff that they love to do because they have very
yeah.
strong um, habits or very strong leniency towards one thing or another, and they
Yes.
really excel at that. So
So yeah, so I've been a creative my whole life, but like I started in my 20s. I did a lot of like humanitarian aid work. I worked with nonprofits, and I did a lot of creative projects in my community. And then as I rolled into my 30s, that kind of turned into some marketing. I
mm,
started working with bigger companies. I started working with bigger nonprofits and things like that. And then when I found the film industry, that changed everything because it
yeah,
kind of gave me a place to put my talents as a performer, but also as a producer and an organizer and a marketer to use. And then I started acting professionally. I started doing all these things. And then after so many years, I was like, okay, I'm ready to produce. So then I started producing short films, which I have now 8, I believe it is, under my belt, not counting projects I've done in India that were like more documentary style, things like that. I'm producing now on 2 longer length documentaries. I'm writing a feature film that I want to shoot part in India actually next year, hopefully. And then when I want to shoot in Louisiana, I mean, it just continues to grow. You know, as a producer, I've gone from just someone who just kind of impacted and knew I wanted to produce, to producing small projects, and now it's moving to the bigger level of producing longer content. And then now there's the whole children's content, which has
Yeah.
opened up, and it's been really fun. So there's no telling where that'll lead as well, because I'm just a child. I mean,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
may be grown up in this body, but there's always that little girl in here who just wants to play. So
That's
I'm
right. That's
excited to
right.
see where all this is going to lead.
That's really powerful. I like it. You leaned into what you love to do. You leaned into,
Yes.
what fascinated you, and you just went for it, and learning the different things along the way, and then putting them all together. Because I think
Yeah.
that's something that we forget about, is that, hey, you can have multiple careers and then bring it all together into your
Yes.
passion. Because as human beings, we have such, like, we have more broad thoughts than any other animal in the animal kingdom, right?
Right.
And that's what makes us superior, or makes us gives us that upper hand in being able to overcome adversity in so many different ways.
Right. Right. And honestly, it wasn't until the last like year or two where I really started to put together who I was. And I was able to put it down into two words. One is storyteller, which kind of summed it up, because I had such a varied career and history that I'd look at myself and I'm like, Shanna, can you just not settle? Like, is something wrong with you that you have to do all these different things? But you're right. I mean, we have gifts in different areas. We have passions in different areas. We have all these abilities and things. And it's like sometimes we're told, well, you have to just be one thing. And that is not
Yeah,
true. To be good humans, we really are doing multiple things. And then in the last year, I've been able to really encapsulate that and go, I am a storyteller and I am an advocate. With all the work that I've done, I'm always fighting for somebody who needs a voice. I'm always
yeah,
elevating someone's voice, whether it's people of color with mass incarceration, like a project I'm doing right now, or the eunuchs in India, or underprivileged children, or autistic children. I have always been raising someone's voice. So a
yeah,
storyteller and an advocate, they go together hand in hand, as long as the work that I'm doing is doing that. And I could be a producer sometimes on those
yeah,
projects, and or a talent on those projects. I've got two short films in post right now. One is on the impact of abuse, spousal abuse, and abuse in a family, and the other one is on mass incarceration. I wrote both of them. Starred in both of them. I'm producing both of them. But for me, they're very personal stories. Again, not literal,
yeah,
metaphorical. They're not my exact story. They're
yeah,
metaphorical, but they are to bring a problem to light, and then to model, show ways of dealing with these problems and these issues
yeah,
that we face as humans. And how can we hurt each other less? How can we heal and recover from pain or things that we've suffered in trauma? And that's my journey. I know it like I know it like I know it now, like more than I ever have in my life. I finally
yeah,
understand who I am and how that works together. And it's taken me a long time to figure that out. I'm only a few years from 50. It's taken
yeah.
me this long to figure out that what I'm doing really does make sense, and it really does all fit together. And finally, after honing my craft for decades, I can say I am a storyteller and this is what I do. And finally finding ways to start to monetize that to make a living. Because it's always been passion. I've always been
Yeah,
doing it, but I'm
exactly.
finally getting to the place of like, okay, I can actually get to the level of a professional so that I can make a living doing this. And I'm just so happy. I love it. I'm so grateful every day that I'm doing things that I believe in and being able to
Yeah.
tell stories that are really important.
No, that's really powerful. And when you said, you're just now putting it all together, that's true for a lot of us. Because uh, when you're working for somebody else, you are you are just a passenger in a bus, right? They're driving it. But unless you take the wheels and decide, and spend the time to, like, okay, this is what I really want for me, and this is my why. And I've been struggling with that same thing. What is my why? Like, why do I want to do something? Why am I doing, this podcast? Or why do I want to into acting? Or would I want to do a movie, or a TV show, or whatever? So there are the small whys, and then there are the big why. Like, this is what I stand for. And it
Yeah.
takes time. You can't be a 20-year-old and say, this is my why. No, you
Right.
haven't really, lived
Right.
life. But sure, there are a ton of people that take adversity at a young age, and now they're in their 25s or they're almost 30, and now they can kind of start a new company or go
Yeah.
that route. But again, you have to have those opportunities, you have to have those experiences or connections, or there's people in your life that are pushing you to excel at those things. So there's so many different.
Yeah, and I think it's a journey of the artist to have to figure out how to monetize your craft. It's very difficult, and it's very frustrating to me in the United States that it is really hard to make a living as an artist.
Yeah.
That if you are an actor or a producer or a director or any of those things, it can take years to where
Mhm.
you can start to make a living and with what you're doing. And it's unfortunate because these things are necessary to the development of our culture, to
Yeah.
the evolution of us as humans. We must have stories. We must continue to tell them. We must tell stories of things that have happened and then warn of things to come. Like that is so necessary to us
Yeah.
as human beings. And yet it's not rewarded. I could have been an attorney. I was top of my class. I was told you should be an attorney, you should be a
Yeah.
doctor, you should be something like that, where you have a guaranteed, income and you can make a difference in the world. But my heart was an artist, and there was just no way I was going to do that.
Yeah.
I would have died. My
Absolutely.
soul would have died. And so I had to pursue my path, which meant I made no money for the first 20, 30 years of my life,
Wow.
nothing, working for nonprofits, working for, just scraping by because I was doing what I was passionate about. And so it's frustrating, but it is part of it. You should expect that your craft, your passion may not make money for a while. And part of it is because you're not really that good yet.
Right.
I've
Absolutely.
been doing this for 15 years professionally. I have over 100 probably credits on IMDb at this point. And do I consider myself great? No. I am finally good at some things.
Yeah.
But there is so much to learn about the craft of storytelling. There's so many sides to this that every day I'm learning. There's so much to learn. And so I look at people who are like me 15 years ago and are like, I don't understand why I can't book a lead in a film. It's like, because you know nothing. Like you really don't. You can study for 3 to 5 years and you still don't really know nothing. You can do a small role, you can do whatever,
Absolutely.
you can do it okay. But to be a lead, to have decades of knowledge in your head and experience on set and all those things takes time.
Oh yeah.
The
Absolutely.
actors that we really appreciate, you look at them, they have life experience, they have knowledge and industry experience. They understand not only the lines and how to act, but they understand camera, and they've learned to control their body and their voice and all these things, and to make performances that make us weep. Those people,
Exactly.
they earned it.
They earned it.
99% of the time, they earned it. They didn't
Yeah.
just wake up with a gift.
No way. No way.
I mean, it's rare that someone has this ability to connect, but
Yeah.
still, there's so many technical sides to this business. So, we
Absolutely.
have to put in the time and energy, and like you said, focus on what is it that really matters to me. And that may take 10 hours of your week. I mean, I can't
Hmm.
tell you how many hours I still give every week hours and hours and hours to nonprofit work because I
Yeah.
can't stop, because I believe in it. And
Yeah.
because I just, I mean, like every day I'm doing so many things, and then I take on something else. This week I adopted a 2020 senior. I'm like, what am I doing? But I was just like, I couldn't help it. I was like, I have to. This trans
Yeah.
kid needs to be adopted. Of course, I'm adopting him. And and it's like it's when it's in your soul, when it's in your blood, when it's your passion, you cannot run from it.
Absolutely.
You cannot run
Absolutely.
from it, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't. And I think if we just, like you said, pursue it, and if we get better and better at it, then hopefully it will find a way to. The universe will find a way to take care of us financially or whatever, so we
Yeah.
get to a place with more.
And what's really important, and in this time and age that we're in right now, especially with COVID-19
Yeah.
and the devices that we have access to, it's almost like everybody's on the same playing field,
Yeah.
because we have daily night shows hosts shooting with their own smartphones,
Yeah. In their living
right,
room or in their.
in their own living room,
Yeah.
right, and somebody like me and you, we have the same devices that we're using.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to, okay, they have a ton of experience in how to talk. What they're missing is the audience, because they're used to talking to an audience, but now they're
Yeah.
talking to the camera.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you are really passionate about acting, start doing it in front of the
Yeah.
camera, start
Yeah.
doing it, spend 10 hours a day if you can,
Yeah.
to perfect that art, to be considered. Because there's so on backstage.com, there's a special tag now, work from home, so you can look up
Yeah,
content, right? So it's going to be a totally different future for
it
all of
is.
us going forward.
And there's two sides of that. I mean, the one thing about it is it has made technology has made some things accessible to us. You know, we just went a few weeks ago and shot before right as COVID was hitting. When I was finishing shooting my short film in Louisiana that I wrote, produced, and starred in, and a team of 25 people that we brought in, and we were shooting in North Louisiana. And you know, technology has made it to where we can afford to shoot something that is Roma-esque. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's black and white. It's long sweeping shots and a crew of 25, but we are able to do that at a fraction of the cost of what film would have cost years ago, right? So that's the beauty of it. The other bad side of this is that
Yeah.
because technology is so readily available, everybody thinks they're a photographer, even though they don't understand a camera at all. Everybody thinks they're a filmmaker, even though they have no knowledge. And everybody thinks they're an actor because they can produce a reality video in their living room. And
Yeah.
so that's my concern, is that quality is coming down. So one of the things I'm really big on with my team and with the work that I'm producing for the future
Mhm.
is trying to get as good as we can with the resources we have.
Yeah.
Because you know there's a learning curve. My first couple films, Lord, hide. But I accomplished some great things. But what ended up on the screen, because it's such a process to make a film,
It is.
was not, now when I look at it, I'm like, at the time it was great. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. I got 75 people to work for me for free on my first film. I got the camera gear donated. But then when I look at it, I'm like, wow, there were so many issues with the script and the story. But I was still proud because I accomplished a lot. So we should keep making content.
Yes.
Also, we should keep striving to be really good at what we do. Because if people are distracted by the sound or the what's happening or whatever's going on, that shows how crappy it is, because it's you're not doing a good job, or you're not focused, or you don't really know what you're doing, that can distract from your story. And for me, I want them. I'm a sucker for beautiful story. I want to create movies that you watch and just go, oh, this is so beautiful, aesthetically. I'm a sucker for gorgeous aesthetic films and very small, intimate performances that you can capture in. So that's my goal, is just how good can I be with the least amount of resources, because you never have enough of what you want or need to make something.
Absolutely. I think you said it really well. You know what? You gotta do the practice. You gotta put in the work. And one thing that keep coming up to me is like, you're not gonna have a good book if you don't have bad books. You're not gonna
Yeah.
have a good journal or a good blog post if you don't have any bad. I mean, how can you say I practice writing a book when you don't even have a bad book? So
Right.
can you say that you're a good actor if you don't have any bad acting to show off, right?
And just because we can self-publish doesn't mean we should just throw anything out there, and I mean, there
Amen.
are people who can guide you. There are coaches that can help you. You have an idea, they can teach you how to write. I'm working with a screenwriting coach right now because that is not my forte and I'm not trained, but I know I can do it. And I'm working with someone who's a very high level professional who can help me create something that I can be really proud of. And I'm learning from them every step of the way. Is it
Yeah.
costing me? Yeah. I had to take that out of my budget and find it, but it's worth it. You know what I mean? And that's where we have to be serious about our craft, even if it's just, sometimes is it a hobby or is it a craft? Is it a passion? For
Exactly.
me, this is a passion. And if I want to be a professional at this, I can't just pull things out of my head. I have to work. I have to train. I have to be good. It's like saying I want to be a martial artist. And then, hey, look at me. I can kick, okay, get in the studio for 5 years and then talk to me about you're a martial artist. Go train with someone who's a black belt that can kick you
Exactly.
around a little bit. Then talk to me about you being a martial artist. Just because you watched a kung fu movie and kicked your Cheetos bag doesn't mean you're a martial artist. There's a difference.
Hmm.
That's the problem with, I think with things being so readily available. Everyone wants to say they're a producer. Everybody wants to say they're, this, that, and the other. But really, are you? And at what level? And what can we do to get the craft better? What can we do to make each other better? What can we do to learn from each other? All about
Absolutely.
collaboration. Every project is different because of who comes into it, the entities that bring their creative gifts. I'm always looking to see who can I hire, who can I talk into working with me that is better at this than I am. I want somebody better than me. If I'm the best one or the smartest one and the most experienced, that's a crappy crew for me.
Yeah.
I want people who have way more experience than me that can teach
Absolutely.
me things on the way.
No, those are excellent points, and I love every single one of them because you want to hire somebody who's better than you, so they are the expert. You're paying them not to be just like you. It's because what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of yes people. I'm a fan of people who pull me and stretch me and say, Shanna, you can do better. Let's do this better. Let's do this. If we find another $5,000, we can make this much better. If we change the score again, we can make this much better. You know, if we get this level of a DP over this level, this film is going to be that much better. I want to be pulled. I want to be stretched. And I do the same with my crew. You know, I have a
Yeah,
rant that I give at every start of every shoot, and it's about creating our best work. I'm like, if we are not here creating our best work, what are we doing? We should just go home. And I'm sorry, if we're not stepping it up a level, if this is not another level up from the last thing we have done, each of us individually and collectively, then what are we doing? Go home.
exactly.
Let's get better. Why not? We're going to be here together for so many days, working our booties off. You know, why would we not make it our best work? Why would we not really focus and all try to grow, learn, and come out of this stronger and better? Why would we not do that? But sometimes we get
Absolutely.
distracted, you know?
I love it. I love every single bit, Shanna. Thank you so much. Now, I do have some questions for you at the end of our show.
Sure.
What is one hobby that you wish you got into?
I wish I'd gotten into. Okay, well, I have a list because I'm turning 50 in 2 years, and I have all these things I keep telling my husband. I'm like, when I'm in my 50s, I'm going to take swimming lessons. And I can swim, but I'm not a good swimmer. I want to
Uh-huh.
get better at swimming. And I told him, I was like, when I'm in my 50s and 60s, I want to be a birder. I want to be those little people that walk around with binoculars and they know the birds and they know the sounds, because I love birds, but I've
Yeah.
never taken the time to learn about them. And I was like, I want to do that. So there's a bunch of things that I'm like putting on my list.
Yeah.
Tai Chi is another one. Like, I've dabbled, but I really want to go to a straight up, not a blend class, but a straight up Tai Chi class for a while when I'm older and like really
Yeah.
study, because I think it's beautiful and it's meditative. You know, so I trust, I'm always got things I'm gonna be doing. I've got a list for each decade that I want to be working on.
Nice. I love it. I love it. All right. Next question. What did you want to be when you were a child?
Oh my gosh. I definitely wanted to be a vet for a while because I love animals, and I'm still involved in animal rescue at different levels. And animals, I'm such a softie. You'll see animals in almost all my stories, kids' stories and stuff, because I just love them. So I wanted to be a vet, but then I realized, like, if I have to operate on one, I don't do well with
Yeah.
blood and poop and all of that. I was like, I don't think I can do that. So
Hmm.
I keep telling my husband, and when we're older, a little older, I was like, we're going to have a farm and I'm going to take in like 100 rescue animals. So prepare yourself, because I want many donkeys and many goats, and I want to rescue pigs, and I want all of it. I want all of it, like just a whole farm of rescue
Yeah.
animals. So that's
Yeah.
going to happen at some
It's
point.
gonna
When I
happen.
get my first million or something, I'm just going to go adopt as many little sad animals as I can and make them all happy.
Nice. That's
It's going to
that's
happen.
an
Trust
amazing
me.
goal. I love it. Please reach out to me when you do get a farm
Right?
and all those animals. I mean, I'm originally from California, so Pasadena is just down the road.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, what is your favorite movie or TV show?
That's so hard.
This is a hard one, right?
I mean, are we talking past? Are we talking present? Are we talking for aesthetic, story, whatever?
You can add all sorts of categories, but there's only
Oh
one
my
favorite.
gosh. No, there's never one favorite for me.
I know. I know.
I have to say, one of the recent things that I've watched that I really loved was Devs, the series. It's by the guy who did Ex Machina.
Mhm.
It's fantastic. I'm a sucker for aesthetic movies. So, like Marie Antoinette, just anything that's a big, beautiful movie, I love.
Mhm.
But then I also love small, intimate movies as well. So I have tons of favorites. I'm one of those people. I never have one. Some people have a
Wor-
one. I
Works
never
for
have
me.
one. I never
It's
have one favorite color. Mine's like
no.
the color of the moment. Like,
Yeah.
never have one favorite food. I'm just not that person. I'm your rainbow
Works
girl. I
works
want
for
it
me.
all, depending on the day, the time, the hour. I don't even have one favorite genre of music. Like during the day, I'll listen to 3 different kinds of music in one day. Like I just literally am.
I feel you. I do the same. I have techno at one point, and I'll have some hard metal, and
right?
then
You're just
I'll
like
it's like, how does that
blues.
relate? Just I
I
don't know.
love
It's just
blues.
the way
I don't
my
know.
brain
It's
works.
what I'm in the mood for. Exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
next one would be about your favorite superhero, and I don't know if you're a superhero person.
Oh gosh, I love. I want to be one. In fact, I created one years ago that I was going to be, and I may need to go back to that story and revamp it and do it again. But what's funny is I'm not a fan type person. Like I want to be the superhero.
Sure.
I'm not like fans of superheroes where I'm like, oh, I love Wonder Woman or Superman. No, I want to be Wonder Woman or Superman.
Hell yeah. Well, that was
But
my next.
I know what my superhero power would be.
Mm-hmm.
That I've narrowed down because
Okay.
I've played this game with myself many times. So I had one superpower gift. It would be to turn myself into any animal I wanted to at any time. I'd be like Mystique, but I would only turn into animals. So I could be like a fox or a rabbit or a snake or a
Well,
bird or
well,
something.
there is a superhero that has those abilities. I can't remember the name of that character,
Mm. I
but
wouldn't
then
care to be other people. I wouldn't care to be objects.
yeah.
I want to turn into different animals and have their
Well,
abilities. I want to be able to hear and smell and
have you
run
seen
and fly. Oh,
Wild Kratts on
wildcats.
PBS? No, Wild Kratts. Kratts. It's the
Oh,
Krat
no, I
brothers.
haven't seen
You gotta have to check it out because that is you're gonna love
that.
it.
Huh.
You're gonna love it.
Interesting.
Um, so the question that you might be leaning into is, what movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
Oh, I love. What's crazy is a lot of the roles that I'm drawn to are actually played by males traditionally. So, but I do know I love things that are larger than life,
Yeah,
that are either a superhero or a sci-fi, something that has powers, you know, Harry Potter,
yeah.
all of that stuff. Anything that's bigger than just reality, I love. Whether, there's so many sides to that again,
There's so many sides.
superheroes. Yeah,
All right. Well,
magic. I definitely would want magic. Like I
there's
want
some
powers.
kind
I
of
want to.
magic. Okay. Well, we'll put you down as Harry Potter. All right. Next, the and last question is: if you were a board game, what would it be? If you got to be a board game.
Uh, boy, probably Twister. Is that a
Oh,
board game? It's a
I don't know.
game.
It's more like a floor game, but yeah.
Yeah. But I think it'd be some version of Twister because
Mhm.
I'm a real touch person. I'm a
Yeah.
connection person and I
Yeah.
love kind of messing things up to where it's like everybody wants to sit and I'm like, no, let's twist. Let's tie ourselves in knots and see what happens. You get on red, I'll get on blue, and let's see what happens. You know what I mean? I feel
Oh
like that's
man.
like my brain in a game. It's Twister. It's like we're connected, but it's awkward. And isn't this cool?
Yeah.
The colors,
I
everything's
never
bright
really
colored.
played that game, dude. I never played that game. Just never got into it. It was never happened that
No,
we played Twister. I did.
that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. But that's awesome, dude. It's
He's like, I'm sorry, I don't think I want to be your friend anymore, Shanna.
no, I do. I love that. I love the concept of the game. I just never got to play it, you know. I never was a toddler or a teenager in the states where Twister was readily available.
Right.
So Shanna, thank you so much for your
Absolutely.
time coming on, talking about so many awesome things about producing, about telling stories, and I think you tell stories really well, and it leans into your experience and what you've been doing for the past many years. Where can my audience find you?
Well, my personal site is Forrestall, which is my last name, forrestallconsulting.com. And that's where you'll find out about me as a talent, but also all of my gazillion projects, as much as I can keep it updated.
Yeah,
That's where all that data will be. You could find me, you can find what I'm doing and where that spins out into a million different directions.
nice.
Anything to do with my book is also on the site, but it also has a direct domain called Why the Girl. And then My Calm World is where we're releasing all of the bedtime stories. That's where the meditations will come out, all of that. And also, we are doing a giveaway right now. We're giving away copies of my children's book. So if anybody wants to win a copy of that, there's no charge to enter or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, they can sign up. And we would love for some parents to take advantage of that and get copies of the book. Actually, this Friday, Why the Girl Became a Cat is the story that's coming out on the Bedtime Stories. It's coming out in audio form across all the platforms, and that is the book we're giving away. And we're going to do that through May. If anybody wants to sign up, they can go to mycalmworld.com under giveaways and sign up to win a free copy of the book.
Awesome. I'll be sure to include these links to the podcast episode so that people can take advantage. And thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. And I'm on all the social too. If they look for me.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Shanna Forrestall, Shanna from Louisiana. You can always find me under Shanna from Louisiana if you forget my name. But I'm on all the social medias. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all of that as well.
Fantastic. We'll be sure to include all of those social media, website, and the giveaway to the podcast episode. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode on Hacks and Hobbies. We absolutely appreciate your contribution. You can find additional notes on hacksandhobbies.com. Please share the podcast with your friends and tell them what you learned about our guest today.